Take a genuine moment right now, wherever you find yourself listening to this. Whether you're curled up on your sofa, commuting on a bustling train, or perhaps even just sitting at your desk, let your gaze fall upon an object immediately within your reach. Don't overthink it. It could be your smartphone, a worn-out book, the wall opposite you, or for our purposes, let's imagine it's a simple, everyday coffee cup. Got it? Excellent. Now, I want you to truly engage with that object. Go beyond a casual glance. Observe its contours, its edges, the way light plays across its surface. If it's a coffee cup, you'll likely see a distinct form, perhaps a classic cylindrical shape or something more ergonomic. You'll perceive its color a brilliant white, a deep earthy tone, or maybe a mosaic of intricate patterns. If you were to lift it, if you were to let your fingertips trace its surface, you'd register its texture, the cool, smooth glide of glazed ceramic, the subtle grit of an unglazed rim, the warmth radiating from the liquid held within. But pause here for just a moment. This is where the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Is that coffee cup really white? Is its shape inherently cylindrical, existing independently of any observer? Is that smoothness an absolute, objective property intrinsic to the ceramic itself? Or are these qualities, the vivid whiteness, the precise cylindrical form, the pleasing tactile smoothness, simply the intricate ways your unique brain interprets the wavelengths of light reflecting off its surface, the specific pressures and vibrations registered by the nerve endings in your skin? Are they real, or are they primarily your perception of reality? This isn't just an amusing philosophical riddle to ponder over your morning brew. This deceptively simple line of inquiry, questioning the fundamental, taken for granted nature of the physical objects that populate our daily existence, is the foundational tremor that initiates some of humanity's most profound intellectual and philosophical expeditions. It's the very first step we take when we decide to peel back the layers of our habitual assumptions, to scrutinize the immediate data our senses present to us, and to ask a question that has echoed through the ages: is the world truly what it seems to be? This particular journey, exploring the relationship between perception and reality, between the physical world and our understanding of it, is one that has fascinated and challenged some of history's greatest minds. As we embark on this initial exploration, aiming to understand how even the most mundane objects can unlock deeper insights, we're fortunate to have a superb intellectual guide, the towering British philosopher Bertrand Russell. His eloquent and incisive explorations into epistemology, the theory of knowledge, and his relentless pursuit of clarity in understanding the external world provide an unparalleled framework for precisely this kind of inquiry. Russell, with his characteristic rigor, challenges us to look beyond the immediate, to doubt the obvious, and to rigorously examine the foundations of what we think we know. So, with Russell illuminating our path, let's begin to unravel the apparent solidity of the world around us and prepare ourselves for an adventure into ideas that promise to fundamentally alter how you perceive everything. Why bother with philosophy? It's a question I've heard countless times, and honestly, it's one I used to ask myself with a fair bit of cynicism. For the longest time, my mental image of philosophy was a rather dusty one, ancient, impenetrable tomes filled with complex, often baffling jargon, penned by tweed-clad academics debating abstract concepts that felt utterly divorced from the messy realities of daily life. It seemed like an intellectual playground exclusively for old men in armchairs, far removed from anything genuinely pressing or practical. It felt intimidating, elitist, and, frankly, profoundly irrelevant to my own world. Perhaps that resonates with you too, that initial resistance to diving into something that feels so monumentally abstract. But then, a pivotal moment occurred when I stumbled upon Bertrand Russell's The Problems of Philosophy. This wasn't just another academic text, it was an invitation. Russell, with his astonishing clarity and intellectual rigor, didn't present philosophy as a daunting, exclusive club, but rather as something far more fundamental and liberating, a powerful toolkit for thinking. He showed me that philosophy isn't about memorizing historical figures or obscure theories, but about cultivating a deeper capacity for critical inquiry. It's for anyone who's ever paused, looked at the world around them, and genuinely wondered, why are things the way they are? What constitutes reality beyond what my senses tell me? How do I truly know anything? And, perhaps most crucially, what should I then do with that knowledge and understanding? Russell illuminated how engaging with these questions actively enhances our ability to navigate complexity, to dissect arguments, and to construct a more robust, informed understanding of our own existence. He truly showed me that philosophy is for anyone who's ever had that persistent, nagging why echo in the back of their mind, yearning for more than superficial answers. It's about freeing your mind from unquestioned assumptions. And that, fundamentally, is the spirit we're bringing to this entire video series. We're not here to drown you in dense academic minutiae or to treat the Communist Manifesto as an unapproachable relic from a bygone era. Instead, our mission is to humanize these often intimidating, profound ideas, to distill their essence into digestible concepts, and to explore their enduring, sometimes unsettling, but always relevant implications for our modern lives, our societies, and even our individual ethical and political choices. We're going to wield this very philosophical lens, this toolkit for clear thinking that Russell so brilliantly championed, to unpack one of the most impactful, provocative, and frequently misunderstood books in human history. So, how will we embark on this journey together? We'll begin by grappling with some of those fundamental philosophical questions about existence, reality, knowledge, and society, just as Russell invites us to do, establishing a bedrock of critical thought. From these foundational queries, we'll then transition to understanding how such grand philosophical perspectives directly inform, shape, and underpin the radical proposals put forth by Marx and Engels. And most importantly, throughout this exploration, we'll collectively journey towards discovering the very real, practical, and deeply personal value in engaging with these big ideas, demonstrating vividly how philosophical inquiry isn't merely an abstract exercise. It is, in fact, an essential tool that can genuinely liberate our minds, equip us to critically assess information, articulate our own viewpoints, and confidently navigate an increasingly complex world with greater insight, empathy, and purpose. Prepare to question, to analyze, and ultimately, to think differently. Welcome to Reading Marx, our journey through one of history's most pivotal texts, the Communist Manifesto. We begin with Chapter 1, The Mystery of the Ordinary Table. This might seem an unusual starting point for a book about revolution and economics, but bear with me, because understanding how we perceive something as mundane as a table is crucial to understanding the radical ideas we're about to explore. Imagine for a moment a simple, unassuming table in front of you. Perhaps it's wooden, rectangular, with a slightly worn surface. You see it right now as a certain color, let's say a warm, deep brown. You notice its texture, perhaps a faint grain running across it, catching the light. Now, let's take a closer look. Stand up and move directly over the table. From this vantage point, the tabletop appears precisely rectangular, its edges sharp, its surface reflecting the overhead light in a consistent, almost mirror-like sheen. But now, shift your position. Move slightly to the left, then to the right. As you do, the rectangular shape subtly distorts. One end might appear narrower than the other, an effect of perspective. The perfect rectangle you perceived from directly above is no longer quite so perfect. Consider the light. If a ray of sunlight suddenly streams through a window, striking a part of the table, that section might momentarily gleam with a reddish tint or appear much lighter than the rest. If the room is dimmed, the deep brown you first saw might now seem like a shadowy, indistinct gray. The color, the very essence of its appearance, changes based on external conditions. And what about touch? Extend your hand and feel the surface. Is it smooth and cool to the touch? Or perhaps it feels slightly rough in one spot, warmer where the sunlight has lingered. The sensation isn't uniform across its entire surface, nor is it constant over time. What you've just experienced, the changing colors, the distorting shapes, the varying textures and temperatures, these are not, in fact, the table itself. You haven't, in a direct, unmediated sense, truly experienced the real table. The table, if it exists independently of your perception, remains stubbornly elusive. What we experience are a collection of sensations, impressions, and perceptions. Philosophers like Bertrand Russell would call these sense data. Sense data are the immediate objects of our awareness, the brownness you saw, the rectangularity you perceived, the coolness you felt, the smoothness under your fingertips. These are distinct from the physical object, the actual independent table that causes these sensations. The physical object is the thing itself, existing out there, whether we're looking at it or not, whether we're touching it or not. But we never truly see or feel or touch that physical object directly. We only ever encounter its appearance through our senses, through these bundles of sense data. This isn't just an abstract philosophical game. This realization, the fundamental distinction between appearance and reality, between what we perceive and what truly is the very bedrock of critical thinking. It forces us to question, to analyze, to dig deeper than what immediately presents itself to our senses. It teaches us that what seems obvious or self-evident might, upon closer inspection, be far more complex, multifaceted, or even misleading. And it's precisely this foundational understanding of how we perceive the world and the inherent limitations and interpretations involved that will be crucial as we embark on our journey into the world-shaking ideas of the Communist Manifesto Because, just like our ordinary table, the world described by Marx and Engels might appear one way, but its underlying reality, its true nature, might be something entirely different. They ask us to look past the surface, beyond the common perception, to uncover what lies beneath. And that, dear listener, is where our real adventure begins. Welcome back, and let's dive into Chapter 2. So, is anything actually real? After our exploration of how our minds construct reality, of the ideas that populate our internal worlds, a fundamental, almost childishly simple question naturally emerges: Does a real world actually exist outside of our individual minds? Or are we, each of us, living in an elaborate, perfectly convincing dream, a solipsistic bubble of pure thought? It's a question philosophers have grappled with for millennia, and while there's no definitive, irrefutable proof, our everyday experience screams a resounding yes. This brings us to the common sense argument for the existence of matter. We feel the hard ground beneath our feet, the warmth of the sun on our skin, the satisfying weight of a book in our hands. These sensations aren't fleeting or entirely subjective in the way a mood might be. They possess a certain undeniable stubbornness, a resistance. When you walk into a wall, the wall pushes back. This constant interaction, this tactile feedback loop, strongly suggests that there's something out there that isn't just a figment of our imagination. It's a pragmatic, deeply intuitive leap of faith that most of us make without even thinking. Beyond mere sensation, consider the persistence and consistency of objects. Think about your favorite coffee mug. You place it on the table. You leave the room, maybe for an hour, maybe for a day. When you return, the mug is still there, in the same spot, with the same shape, color, and texture. It hasn't dissolved into thin air, nor has it spontaneously transformed into a rubber chicken. Your perception of it might vary slightly with lighting or angle, but the object itself appears to maintain its integrity, its mugness, independent of whether you're actively observing it. This remarkable consistency, this stable existence over time and across different observers, strongly suggests an external, enduring cause, a physical object that exists independently of any particular mind's awareness of it. If everything were just an idea in our heads, why would these ideas persist so reliably even when we're not thinking them? Why would they follow such predictable, consistent rules? To illustrate this, think of it like hearing a song from another room. You don't directly see the stereo, the speakers, or the person who pressed play. All you experience are the sound waves reaching your ears. Yet, you don't for a moment doubt that there's a source for that music, a physical speaker emitting those sounds from a distinct location. The consistent rhythm, the identifiable melody, the sustained volume, all these auditory clues lead you to confidently infer the existence of an external object causing the sound, even though it remains unseen. You don't need to visually confirm the speaker's presence to be certain of its reality. The effect is proof enough of the cause. So, while we might never be able to provide an airtight, logically unassailable proof for the existence of an external world, that's a philosophical rabbit hole for another day. Our belief in it is far from arbitrary. It's a profoundly reasonable, deeply practical, and almost universally adopted hypothesis. It's the simplest, most elegant explanation for the order, the predictability, and the shared experience of our lives. It allows us to navigate the world, to interact with others, and to make sense of the constant stream of sensory data we receive. Without this foundational belief, our entire understanding of reality, our science, our relationships, indeed, the Communist Manifesto itself, would unravel into a chaotic, solipsistic dream. We operate as if the world is real, because all the evidence, though circumstantial, powerfully points in that direction. And for all practical purposes, that's enough. So far, we've journeyed through some fundamental philosophical inquiries into the nature of reality. Now, let's pivot to a seemingly simpler question, yet one that quickly deepens: what is stuff made of? What philosophers throughout history have pondered as physical objects. That table you might be leaning on, the device you're listening through, even your own body. These are precisely the entities that science rigorously explores when it delves into the realm of atoms, molecules, subatomic particles, and fundamental forces. It's the same underlying reality, merely approached with different methodologies and frameworks. Philosophy provides the conceptual lens, science provides the empirical tools and observations. Our everyday experience, governed by our senses, tells us a table is solid, continuous, and unyielding. We touch it, we feel its resistance, we perceive it as a singular, robust object. Yet, modern science presents a radically different picture. That seemingly solid table is in fact almost entirely empty space. It's a vast expanse of void, punctuated by incredibly tiny particles, atoms, each with its own internal structure, whizzing around at immense speeds. The apparent solidity we perceive isn't due to continuous matter, but rather to electromagnetic forces. When your hand touches the table, it's the electrons on the surface of your hand repelling the electrons on the surface of the table. It's an electrical pushback, an illusion of contact, making something that is overwhelmingly empty space feel utterly solid. This disconnect between touch and true structure reveals the limits of our raw senses. This scientific revelation that a solid object is predominantly emptiness serves as a powerful, concrete example of the philosophical problem we've discussed, the distinction between appearance and reality. Our immediate sensory experience offers one truth, a hard, impenetrable surface. But scientific inquiry, peering beyond the superficial, uncovers a profoundly different, often counterintuitive, underlying reality. The reality of the table, as described by physics, is vastly different from its appearance to our human senses. It's a testament to systematic inquiry's power to unveil truths hidden from plain sight. Herein lies a crucial convergence. Both philosophy and science, despite their differing methods, share this fundamental impulse to question the nature of the physical world. Just as ancient thinkers grappled with what constitutes being and non-being, modern physicists, armed with accelerators and telescopes, continue to probe the very fabric of existence, seeking to understand what stuff is truly made of and how that ultimate reality relates to our limited perception of it. They both push us to look beyond the obvious, challenging us to interrogate the very foundations of what we presume to know about the world around us. Welcome to Chapter 4, Is It All Just in My Head? This isn't a self-help question, but a profound philosophical one that has fascinated thinkers for millennia. We're about to explore a truly mind-bending what-if scenario that challenges our basic assumptions about reality itself and invites you to stretch your perception. Imagine, for a moment, that everything you perceive, every object, every person, the very ground beneath your feet, isn't physically out there independently, in the way we typically assume. Instead, what if reality is fundamentally mental or conscious? This isn't to say it's fake, but rather that its very essence, its being, resides within a mind, or perhaps a collection of minds. This radical concept is at the heart of idealism, the philosophical position that the true nature of reality is fundamentally made up of ideas, thoughts, or consciousness, rather than matter. To make this concept a bit more tangible, let's consider the world of a dream. When you're deep in a dream, the experience is incredibly vivid and real, isn't it? You might interact with people, explore landscapes, feel emotions. Yet, upon waking, you realize that elaborate world was a construct of your own mind, entirely in your head. Idealism asks, what if our waking reality is just a much more persistent, consistent and shared version of that mental construction? What if the chair you're sitting on, the device you're using, the sky outside are all just perceptions, ideas within a giant cosmic mind, or perhaps our own collective consciousness? The Irish philosopher George Berkeley, often called Bishop Berkeley, famously distilled his view into a concise Latin phrase, "Est percipi," which translates to be is to be perceived. For Berkeley, an object's very existence depended on a mind perceiving it. Think of the classic question, if a tree falls in a forest with no one to hear it, does it make a sound? Berkeley would go further, if no mind, human or otherwise, perceives the tree itself, does it even exist? Its being is entirely contingent on a mind apprehending it. Berkeley didn't think the world simply vanished when we closed our eyes. He ingeniously posited an omnipresent God whose mind perpetually perceives everything, ensuring the world's continuous existence. Thus, reality persists not as objective matter, but by being constantly held in divine consciousness. It's a beautiful, elegant, and almost poetic solution to the problem of reality, offering a profound sense of meaning. Yet, despite its intellectual charm, most people, including the formidable philosopher Bertrand Russell, ultimately favor a different philosophical position: realism. Realism, in its simplest form, asserts that reality exists independently of our minds. The chair is there whether you perceive it. The sun continues to burn whether you're awake. Why do we generally default to realism? Firstly, it offers practical simplicity, often called the common sense view. It intuitively feels right that objects persist unobserved. Secondly, it ensures consistency and predictability. The laws of physics, for example, operate whether we're aware of them or not. Explaining this unwavering adherence to natural laws under a purely mental reality becomes difficult. Thirdly, there's intersubjectivity. We all perceive fundamentally the same external world. While a collective dream is a possibility, the existence of an independent, objective reality offers a more straightforward explanation for the uncanny similarities in our perceptions. So, while idealism presents a fascinating what-if, the practical demands of navigating a shared, predictable world, combined with a strong intuitive pull, lead most of us to embrace realism, the belief that there's a world out there that exists regardless of whether we're thinking about it or not. We assume that reality isn't just in our heads, and that assumption, as we'll see, has profound implications for how we understand society, history, and our place within them. Welcome to Chapter 5, How We Know Two Flavors of Knowledge. In our journey to truly grasp the ideas within the Communist Manifesto we need a foundational understanding of how we know things. This isn't just an academic exercise, it's a crucial lens through which we'll examine the arguments and claims Marx and Engels put forth. To do this, we'll turn to a pivotal philosophical distinction introduced by Bertrand Russell: knowledge by acquaintance versus knowledge by description. Let's start with knowledge by acquaintance. This is the most direct, immediate form of knowledge. It's about being directly aware of something, experiencing it firsthand, without any intermediary concepts or judgments. Think about the color of the shirt you might be wearing right now. You don't think about its color, you simply see it. You are directly acquainted with the redness or blueness or whatever hue it possesses. When you feel a pain, you are acquainted with that sensation. When you hear a sound, you are acquainted with that sound. It's raw, unmediated experience. We don't infer these things, we simply have them. This is the bedrock of our direct sensory experience. Contrast this with knowledge by description. This is where we know that something possesses certain properties, but we don't necessarily have a direct, immediate experience of the thing itself. Take, for instance, knowing the President of the United States. Unless you are a close confidante or family member, your knowledge of the President isn't based on direct acquaintance with their every thought, feeling, or immediate presence. Instead, you know them by description you know they are the current head of state, elected through a certain process, responsible for particular duties, and have a public persona. You know facts about them, but you are not acquainted with them in the same direct sense you are acquainted with the color of your shirt. To make this distinction even clearer, imagine your favorite celebrity. If you simply read their Wikipedia page, watched interviews, or followed their social media, you would accumulate a vast amount of knowledge by description. You'd know their filmography, their awards, perhaps some biographical details, even their public stances on issues. But would you truly know them? Not in the way you would if you spent a day with them, had a personal conversation, witnessed their unguarded moments, and truly interacted. That direct interaction, that face-to-face experience, would be knowledge by acquaintance. The Wikipedia page, no matter how detailed, remains a description. So, why is this distinction so vital? It helps us understand the limits and certainty of our knowledge. Knowledge by acquaintance offers a kind of certainty that knowledge by description can never fully achieve. When you are directly acquainted with a sensation, you can be sure of that sensation its existence is undeniable to you. However, knowledge by description relies on inferences, on others' accounts, on definitions, and on the accuracy of those descriptions. The president could change, the celebrity's persona could be manufactured, or the information on Wikipedia could be inaccurate or incomplete. Our certainty about descriptions is always contingent on the reliability of the evidence and the accuracy of the language used to construct that description. As we delve into Marx and Engels' arguments about society, economics, and history, we'll encounter claims that demand we ask, is this something they are presenting as directly knowable, something we can be acquainted with? Or is it a description, a theory, a set of properties they attribute to complex systems? Understanding this distinction will equip us with a powerful analytical tool, allowing us to critically evaluate the foundations of their claims and, indeed, the foundations of our own understanding of the world. It's a crucial step in dissecting the profound and often challenging ideas ahead. Previously, we explored the philosophical distinction between knowledge by acquaintance and knowledge by description. This isn't just abstract, it profoundly shapes how we understand the world and, crucially, each other. In this chapter, aptly titled The Friend You've Never Met, we'll apply this powerful lens to our knowledge of other people and physical objects. You possess direct, unmediated access to your own internal world. Your thoughts, your emotions, the immediate sensation of touch or sight, these are known to you by acquaintance. You don't infer your headache, you feel it. You are directly aware of your own subjective experience. This first-person access is exclusive to your own consciousness. It's the only realm where you possess such immediate, infallible knowledge. But what about everything else? A physical object, like the chair you're sitting on, is known to you only by description. You perceive its shape, color, texture, and weight. From these sensory inputs, your mind constructs an understanding of the chair. You don't experience chairness itself, but rather a collection of its observable properties. Our knowledge of the external, physical world is always mediated, always an accumulation of descriptions and inferences, never direct acquaintance. This distinction becomes most profound when considering other people's minds. Think of your closest friend. You share deep experiences, understand their personality, predict their reactions. Yet, have you ever directly experienced their thoughts? Felt their joy precisely as they feel it? Seen the world through their eyes? The answer, as startling as it may seem, is no. You perceive your friend's words, actions, and facial expressions. You infer their internal state from these external manifestations. You never directly experience their subjective consciousness. You know your friend, yes, but you know their mind by description, not by acquaintance. In a profound philosophical sense, you have never truly met their inner self. This isn't a lonely realization, but a powerful impetus for empathy and better communication. If we acknowledge we can't directly access another's inner world, it elevates the importance of their communication. It compels us to listen more carefully, ask precise questions, and observe keenly. It reminds us that our interpretations are our asterisk interpretations, not necessarily their reality. This fosters humility, urging us to bridge the inherent gap between our experiences through thoughtful engagement. It encourages us to articulate our own feelings with greater precision, knowing others are interpreting our asterisk descriptions. This insight doesn't alienate us. It provides a framework for the immense effort and reward in truly understanding another. Every conversation becomes a collaborative bridge building, an attempt to share descriptions rich enough to approximate acquaintance. So, whether we're dissecting complex social theories or nurturing personal bonds, remember this fundamental difference: the direct acquaintance with our own internal world versus the descriptive, inferential understanding we build of everything and everyone else. It sharpens our perception, compelling us to seek deeper understanding and to communicate with intention and care. Every shared understanding is a triumph of descriptive effort, making connection all the more meaningful. Welcome to Chapter 7, Why We Trust the Sun Will Rise. You might be wondering what a discussion about celestial mechanics has to do with the intricate social and economic theories of the Communist Manifesto *. Rest assured, there's a profound connection, one that underlies not just our understanding of the universe, but every decision we make, every expectation we hold, and indeed, the very foundation of all scientific and rational thought. Today, we're diving into a fundamental principle, often invisible in its ubiquity, the principle of induction. At its most basic, induction is the reasoning that allows us to assume future events will resemble past ones. It's the logical leap we make when we observe something happening repeatedly and then conclude it will happen again. It's not deductive logic, where conclusions are guaranteed if premises are true. Instead, it's about probability, pattern recognition, and the incredible, often unconscious, trust we place in the consistency of the universe. Think about some simple everyday occurrences. You're holding a pen. If you release it, what happens? It falls to the ground. Every single time you've ever dropped an object in your life, on Earth, it has fallen. You don't perform a complex calculation or conduct a new experiment each time. You induce that gravity will behave as it always has. You learn to walk without constantly fearing the ground will suddenly vanish beneath your feet. You trust that when you flip a light switch, the light will illuminate, just as it did yesterday and the day before. This isn't blind faith, it's a deeply ingrained reliance on inductive reasoning. Consider another vital example: food. When you sit down to eat a meal, you expect familiar foods to taste a certain way, to nourish you, and not to suddenly turn toxic or inedible. Your expectation is based on all your previous experiences with that food, and indeed, the collective experience of humanity. We don't retest every single bite for safety. We rely on the inductive conclusion that what has been safe and nourishing in the past will continue to be so. And then, there's the monumental, awe-inspiring regularity of the cosmos itself. Every day, as far back as human records and memory stretch, the sun has risen in the east and set in the west. We rely on this pattern with an almost absolute certainty. When we say tomorrow morning, we implicitly induce that there will be a tomorrow morning, and that it will be heralded by the sun's reappearance. This isn't just a poetic observation, it's a bedrock assumption that shapes our entire concept of time, planning, and existence. This principle of induction is not merely a useful mental shortcut, it is the absolute bedrock of all our expectations, our daily routines, and indeed, every single scientific law humanity has ever discovered. From the fundamental laws of physics that describe how matter and energy interact, to the intricate principles of chemistry that govern reactions, to the biological processes that define life itself, all are built upon countless observations, experiments, and data points that have consistently yielded the same results. When a scientist formulates a hypothesis, they test it through repeated experimentation, looking for consistent outcomes. If those outcomes are consistently observed, they induce that the underlying principle holds true, giving rise to theories and, eventually, scientific laws. We don't with absolute, metaphysical certainty that the laws of gravity or thermodynamics will operate identically 1,000,000 years from now, but based on billions of instances across millennia, we induce that they will, because that's the only rational conclusion available to us. The incredible usefulness of induction in navigating the world cannot be overstated. Without it, our world would descend into an unimaginable state of chaos and unpredictability. We wouldn't be able to learn from experience because past events would offer no guide to the future. We couldn't plan for tomorrow, build intricate machines, develop life-saving medicines, or even communicate effectively, as the meaning of words might shift unpredictably. Induction allows us to predict the trajectory of a thrown ball, to understand the likely outcome of a chemical reaction, to forecast weather patterns, and to anticipate the actions of others based on their past behavior. It's the engine of learning, the foundation of common sense, and the indispensable tool that has enabled human beings to not just survive, but to thrive, innovate, and progressively understand the complex universe around us. We rely on it heavily every single second of our waking lives because it is the most powerful, practical, and pervasive method we possess for making sense of experience and anticipating what comes next. It's how we bridge the gap between what has been and what will be, allowing us to build a coherent and navigable reality. Welcome back. As we explore the Communist Manifesto we've encountered Marx and Engels' belief in a scientific analysis predicting an inevitable future. But before accepting any grand prediction, especially about human society, it's crucial to consider a fundamental philosophical challenge: the problem with predicting the future itself. This brings us to Chapter 8, where we introduce a healthy dose of skepticism by exploring the problem of induction. Induction is how we draw general conclusions from specific observations. We do it constantly. The sun has risen every day, so we expect it will rise tomorrow. An apple falls, so we expect gravity to always work. It feels intuitive, even scientific. But here's the rub: we can't actually prove the future will be like the past. Consider Bertrand Russell's famous turkey. From day one, it observes the farmer feeding it every morning. This pattern repeats for months, building absolute confidence. The turkey concludes, "The farmer always feeds me, therefore, the farmer will always feed me." Its certainty is based on hundreds of consistent observations. Then, Thanksgiving Day arrives. The turkey's meticulously constructed theory is brutally disproven. Just because something has always happened doesn't guarantee it will happen again. This simple story encapsulates the core problem of induction. Past regularities, however consistent, do not logically necessitate future regularities. There's no logical contradiction in imagining the sun might not rise tomorrow. Our belief that it will continue is based on experience, not deductive proof. Now, this doesn't mean we should abandon science. Science is incredibly powerful and effective precisely because it relies on induction. We observe, hypothesize, test, and build models that make accurate predictions. Our scientific knowledge is built upon this inductive inference, the assumption that the universe's underlying principles will remain consistent. However, recognizing the problem of induction means understanding that this foundation is, at its core, a belief, an assumption of uniformity rather than unassailable certainty. It's a pragmatic necessity we operate under because it works, not because we have a foolproof logical demonstration that it must be true. We trust the laws of physics will hold tomorrow because they always have. But that trust is key. This realization introduces intellectual humility. It encourages us to approach grand theories, especially those predicting the course of entire societies or humanity's future, with healthy skepticism. When Marx and Engels present their vision of an inevitable communist future based on historical patterns, we must remember Russell's turkey. Historical trends, however compelling, do not guarantee future outcomes. The world is complex, constantly changing, and human agency can defy predictable patterns. Embracing this intellectual humility refines our understanding. It makes us more critical, open to alternative possibilities, and aware of our predictive limits. It reminds us that even cherished scientific truths are contingent on an assumption that the universe will continue to play by the same rules. When considering the Communist Manifesto as sweeping claims, this skeptical lens is an indispensable tool. It prompts us to question not just specific predictions, but the very philosophical basis upon which they are made. We've spent some time exploring the nature of knowledge derived from experience, what philosophers call empirical knowledge. We've seen how our observations of the world, our experiments, our sensory data, allow us to build hypotheses and theories about how things work. But we also touched upon the inherent limitations of this approach, particularly when it comes to induction, the process of drawing general conclusions from specific observations. No matter how many times we see the sun rise in the east, we can never absolutely know with 100% certainty that it will do so tomorrow. Our confidence grows with each observation, but it remains a probability, not an absolute. But is all knowledge like this? Are there some truths that we can know without ever having to experience them? Are there certainties that don't rely on repeated observation or sensory input? Indeed, there are. And this brings us to a fundamentally different kind of knowledge, one that philosophers refer to as asterisk, a priori knowledge. The Latin phrase a priori literally means from the former, or more accurately in this context, prior to experience. This stands in stark contrast to a posteriori knowledge, which is from the latter, or after experience, our empirical knowledge. A priori knowledge is that which we can know to be true purely through reason, independent of any particular experience of the world. It's knowledge that, once understood, seems self-evident, undeniably true by virtue of its very structure or definition. Think for a moment about the simple arithmetical statement 2 plus 2 equals 4. You don't need to go out into the world and gather 2 apples, then another 2 apples, and count them to arrive at 4 every single time you want to verify this truth. You didn't need to do countless experiments with pairs of objects to conclude this relationship. Once you understand the concepts of 2 plus equals and 4, the truth of that statement becomes immediately apparent through pure logical deduction. It is true by definition, by the very rules of mathematics. It is a necessary truth. Similarly, consider the statement, all triangles have 3 sides. You don't need to examine every single triangle that has ever existed or ever will exist to confirm this. The very asterisk definition asterisk of a triangle includes the property of having 3 sides. If a shape doesn't have 3 sides, it simply isn't a triangle. The truth of this statement is knowable through reason alone. It's contained within the concept itself. These truths, those of logic, mathematics, and some foundational conceptual understandings, are known not through empirical observation, but through the analytical power of our minds. We grasp them through pure intellect, through an understanding of how concepts relate to one another, or how logical inferences necessarily follow. And this is where a priori knowledge offers a type of certainty that induction simply cannot. While empirical knowledge tells us about the contingent facts of the world, what asterisk is asterisk the case, based on our observations, a priori knowledge tells us about what asterisk must be asterisk the case, given the definitions and rules governing our concepts. It provides an absolute, unshakable foundation for truth within its domain. We can be absolutely certain that 2 plus 2 will always equal 4, not just today or tomorrow, but universally and eternally, regardless of any future empirical observations. We are certain not because we've seen it happen countless times, but because its negation is logically impossible or conceptually incoherent. This distinction is profoundly important. It means there are different avenues to understanding, different ways of establishing truth, and different levels of certainty we can achieve. As we delve further into complex ideas, particularly those that claim a kind of historical or social inevitability, keeping this distinction in mind will be crucial for evaluating the strength and nature of the claims being made. What kind of knowledge are we dealing with? Is it based on empirical observation, and therefore probabilistic, or does it claim a more fundamental, almost mathematical or logical certainty derived from underlying principles? Understanding this difference allows us to critically assess the foundations upon which grand theories are built. Welcome back. In this chapter, The World of Universals, we embark on a journey into a surprisingly profound, yet often overlooked, corner of philosophy that will subtly shape our understanding of Marx and Engels. It's about ideas that are both everywhere and nowhere, concepts that are fundamental to how we perceive and make sense of the world. Let's begin with something incredibly tangible. Look around you, or simply recall objects from your memory. You've undoubtedly seen countless triangular things: a slice of pizza, a warning road sign, the sail of a boat, the peak of a distant mountain, perhaps even the roof of a house. Each one is a distinct physical object. But here's the question: what is triangularity itself? What is that shared essence, that common quality that allows us to group all these disparate objects under the single label triangle? This, my friends, is the core of what philosophers call a universal. A universal is a concept, a quality, a property, or a relationship that can exist in multiple places at once, instantiated in many different individual things. Think of redness. You see a red apple, a red car, a red shirt, a red sunset. Each is a specific instance of something red. But redness itself isn't a physical object you can hold. It's an abstract quality that transcends any single red thing, yet it is undeniably present in all of them. It's what they share. The concept extends far beyond shapes and colors. Consider love. We speak of a parent's love for a child, the romantic love between partners, the love of a patriot for their country, or even the love of a craftsman for their trade. Each manifestation is unique, a specific act or feeling experienced by particular individuals. Yet there's a shared an underlying loveness that allows us to recognize and name these diverse experiences. The same applies to courage. We admire the courage of a soldier on the battlefield, the courage of an activist speaking truth to power, or the quiet courage of someone facing a difficult illness. These are all different expressions, yet they point to a universal quality. And what about humanity? What is it that makes each of us human, despite our myriad differences in appearance, culture, and personality? It's a universal essence, a shared property that defines our species. Now, you might be thinking, but these are just ideas. How can an idea be real? This is where the discussion becomes fascinating. Universals, unlike physical objects, cannot be touched, seen, or weighed. You can't trip over justice or put beauty in your pocket. Yet, to dismiss them as unreal would be to misunderstand their profound significance. Universals are profoundly real in a conceptual sense. They are the frameworks through which we understand and categorize our world. Without the universal concept of justice, how could we ever discuss injustice or strive for a more equitable society? Without truth, how could we distinguish fact from falsehood or build knowledge? These abstract ideas don't exist in the same way a chair exists, but they are indispensable to our thought, our language, our morality, and our entire experience of reality. They shape our perceptions, guide our actions, and allow us to communicate complex meaning. They are the invisible glue that holds our conceptual world together, and in that sense, they are as real and impactful as any physical object. Their existence may be abstract, but their effects are concrete, fundamental, and undeniable. Welcome to Chapter 11, Gut Feelings vs. Hard Facts. In this section, we're diving into a concept crucial for understanding any complex idea, including the revolutionary arguments laid out in the Communist Manifesto *. We're talking about intuitive knowledge, not your everyday gut feeling or a lucky hunch, but something far more fundamental, those self-evident beliefs that serve as the indispensable starting points for all other knowledge we acquire. Think about it. If every single piece of information, every proposition, every claim required proof before we could accept it, where would we ever begin? We'd be trapped in an endless loop, an infinite regress, constantly needing to prove the proof, and then prove asterisk that asterisk proof ad infinitum. Nothing could ever be established. To avoid this logical quagmire, we must acknowledge that some truths, some foundational principles, simply must be accepted without external proof. They are, in a very real sense, self-validating. What sorts of truths are we talking about? The most obvious examples are the very laws of logic themselves. Consider the law of non-contradiction. Something cannot be both A and not A at the same time and in the same respect. A chair cannot simultaneously be a chair and not a chair. We don't need a scientific experiment or a philosophical treatise to prove this. It's intrinsically understandable. Similarly, the law of identity, stating that A is a, seems self-evident. These aren't propositions we deduce from something else. They are the very framework through which deduction is even possible. Another powerful example is our awareness of our own thoughts, our own existence as thinking beings. The famous dictum, I think, therefore I am, isn't a conclusion reached through a long chain of reasoning, but rather an immediate, direct apprehension of reality. We are directly aware of our mental processes, our consciousness. This immediate self-awareness isn't something we prove. It's what allows us to prove other things. Now, it's absolutely vital to distinguish this philosophical concept of intuitive knowledge from the more common, everyday use of the word intuition, the kind that refers to a gut feeling, a hunch, or an unreasoned sense about something. Those everyday intuitions can often be wrong, biased, or based on incomplete information. They are subjective and often unreliable. The intuitive knowledge we're discussing here, however, refers to universal, objective truths that are apprehended directly by the intellect, carrying with them a sense of absolute certainty and necessity. They are not merely strong feelings, but fundamental insights into the nature of reality or thought itself. These are the bedrock principles, the foundational axioms upon which we erect the entire edifice of our understanding of the world. Just as geometry begins with axioms that are assumed to be true, without proof, like a straight line can be drawn between any 2 points, so too does all human reasoning, all scientific inquiry, and indeed all social and political theory begin with these fundamental, intuitively grasped truths. They provide the stable ground from which Marx and Engels, like any other thinkers, launch their critiques and construct their alternative visions. Without these universally accepted, self-evident starting points, even the most revolutionary ideas would lack any stable foundation upon which to build their arguments, leaving them adrift in a sea of unprovable assertions. They are the silent, unseen pillars that support even the most radical calls for change. Welcome to Chapter 12. What does it mean to be true? As we delve deeper into the compelling ideas presented in the Communist Manifesto we'll often encounter bold claims about reality, about society, and about the future it predicts. But how do we assess such claims? How do we determine if something Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels asserted is true? This fundamental question, what makes a belief true, is not just philosophical, it's profoundly practical when dissecting such influential texts like the Manifesto. To begin our exploration, let's consider one of the most straightforward and widely accepted ways of thinking about truth, the correspondence theory of truth. In its simplest essence, this theory posits that a belief, a statement, or a proposition is true if, and only if, it accurately corresponds to a fact or a state of affairs in the real world. It's about a match, a harmony between what we think or say and what actually exists out there, independent of our thoughts or words. This objective alignment is key. Imagine, for a moment, a simple scenario. You hold the belief, "My cat is on the mat." According to the correspondence theory, this belief is true if, and only if, there is indeed a cat, your cat, physically situated on the mat in your living room at that precise moment. If you walk into the room and see the cat curled up on the mat, then your belief corresponds to that real-world fact, and thus, your belief is true. Conversely, if you walk in and the mat is empty, or perhaps the cat is on the sofa, then your belief does not correspond to reality, and it is therefore false. It's that simple. Truth is about alignment with reality. It's a straightforward, often intuitive gauge. Now, of course, the world, human experience, and complex philosophical debates are rarely as simple as a cat on a mat. The concept of truth can be incredibly complex, especially when we move from observable physical objects to abstract ideas, historical events, or even predictions about the future. What constitutes a fact in all these varied contexts? How do we even access or verify these facts, particularly in areas like history or social theory, where different interpretations abound? These are vital, deep questions that philosophers have grappled with for centuries, and we are merely scratching the surface here. It's foundational. However, despite its acknowledged complexities, the correspondence theory provides a remarkably robust and intuitive starting point for thinking about truth. It anchors our understanding of truth in an external reality, urging us to look beyond mere opinion or desire. It demands verification. When we critically engage with the assertions made in the Communist Manifesto claims about class struggle, economic systems, or historical trajectories, keeping this basic understanding of correspondence in mind will serve as a powerful analytical tool. It encourages us to ask, does this belief truly correspond to how the world is, or how it has been, or how it is likely to be? This foundational concept will be invaluable as we continue our journey through Marx and Engels' revolutionary vision. Welcome back to our exploration, a journey that began with the powerful assertions of the Communist Manifesto but has inevitably led us down paths far wider than its pages. Today, we step back from specific doctrines and instead turn our gaze inward, reflecting not just on what we think we know, but on the very limits of our knowing. This is Chapter 13, The Edge of What We Know. Throughout history, thinkers have grappled with profound questions, and in doing so, they've often uncovered more about the boundaries of human understanding than they have definitive answers. Consider the external world. We perceive a reality outside ourselves: tables, chairs, other people, the very air we breathe. But how can we be absolutely certain that this external world exists independently of our minds, or that our perceptions accurately reflect it? Philosophers have probed this mystery for millennia, revealing the deep chasm between our sensory experience and an objective, mind-independent reality. Is what we see, hear, and touch merely a construct of our own consciousness? The question remains persistent and unyielding. Then there's the problem of induction. We navigate our lives assuming that patterns observed in the past will hold true in the future. The sun has risen every day, therefore, we expect it to rise tomorrow. This seems entirely reasonable, even necessary for survival. Yet, as David Hume famously pointed out, there's no purely logical justification for this assumption. Our belief in induction is based on past successes of induction, a circular argument. How can we rationally assert that the unobserved future must resemble the observed past? We simply cannot, not with absolute certainty, exposing a fundamental reliance on habit and belief rather than pure reason. And what of our own minds? The most intimate reality we possess, yet perhaps the most enigmatic. How does a collection of neurons and synapses give rise to the rich tapestry of subjective experience, the feeling of joy, the color red, the sensation of pain? This is the hard problem of consciousness. We can map brain activity, understand neural correlates, but the leap from physical processes to the qualitative, what it's like, remains profoundly unexplained. Who are we in this intricate machinery? Our understanding of the self, of free will, of the very nature of thought, continually brushes against the inexplicable. These aren't failures of philosophy, they are its triumphs. Philosophy often doesn't give us final answers, neatly packaged solutions to every grand question. Instead, it equips us with something arguably more valuable, better questions. It refines our inquiries, clarifies our assumptions, and forces us to confront the true complexity of existence. It pushes us to understand why certain questions are so difficult. Where our knowledge genuinely ends, and how much we rely on unexamined presuppositions. It's an honest exploration of the very limits of human knowledge, not a capitulation, but a courageous charting of intellectual territory. This pervasive uncertainty, far from being a source of despair or intellectual paralysis, should instead be viewed as a profound wellspring of wonder and curiosity. To acknowledge the boundaries of our comprehension is to recognize the vastness and mystery that still lie beyond. It's an invitation to continue searching, to keep questioning, to remain intellectually humble and endlessly engaged with the universe and our place within it. It fosters a sense of awe at the sheer intricacy of reality and the persistence of the human spirit to try and grasp it. As the philosopher Bertrand Russell eloquently put it, philosophy is to be studied not for the sake of any definite answers to its questions, since no definite answers can, as a rule, be known to be true, but rather for the sake of the questions themselves, because these questions enlarge our conception of what is possible, enrich our intellectual imagination, and diminish the dogmatic assurance which closes the mind against speculation. This sentiment perfectly encapsulates the spirit of philosophical inquiry at its best. It's a journey not to a destination of absolute truth, but to a deeper appreciation of the journey itself, a relentless pursuit of clarity, and an expansion of our capacity for thought. The edge of what we know is not a cliff of ignorance, but an endless horizon of possibility beckoning us onward. Welcome to Chapter 14. So, what's the point of all this? We've journeyed through Marx and Engels' powerful call to arms, dissected their vision of history, and grappled with their critiques of capitalism. But perhaps as we approach the end of our exploration, a more fundamental question lingers: why bother with these old texts, with philosophy itself in our hyper-modern, fast-paced world? What practical value does it hold? The answer, I believe, lies not in finding concrete solutions to daily dilemmas, but in a profound transformation of the self, a liberation of the mind. Philosophy, at its heart, is a tool for mental freedom. It challenges what we often take for granted, the unspoken assumptions that govern our lives, what we might call the tyranny of custom. We are, by nature, creatures of habit, often operating on autopilot, accepting traditions and beliefs simply because they are asterisk. Philosophy forces us to pause, to question, to critically examine the foundations of our thoughts and actions. It asks, why do I believe this? Is there another way to see it? Is this truly my thought, or merely an echo of what I've been told? This deliberate act of questioning pulls us out of automatic thinking, granting us ownership over our own minds. And in this liberation, our sense of what is possible expands dramatically. When we break free from the invisible chains of conventional wisdom, the world opens up. We begin to see alternative paths, innovative solutions, different ways of organizing society, and even new ways of understanding ourselves. Philosophy is a powerful antidote to cynicism and stagnation. It keeps our sense of wonder alive, not just for the cosmos or natural beauty, but for the intricate dance of human society, for the potential within each of us to create, to connect, to evolve. It teaches us that the present reality is not the only reality, nor is it immutable. This profound personal transformation naturally extends to our role as citizens. A person who can critically evaluate arguments, discern propaganda from truth, and question prevailing narratives is an invaluable asset to any society. Philosophy makes us better citizens because it cultivates thoughtful individuals, people who engage with ideas rather than merely consuming them, people who can contribute meaningfully to public discourse rather than just repeating slogans. It fosters empathy by encouraging us to understand diverse perspectives and challenges our comfort zones, pushing us to consider the implications of our collective actions on others. So, the true value of engaging with philosophical texts, with the very act of philosophical inquiry, isn't found in a definitive answer sheet for life. Marx and Engels offered a diagnosis and a prescription, yes, but the deeper lesson is in the process of their thinking, their relentless questioning of the status quo. The point isn't to walk away with a ready-made ideology, but to walk away with an awakened intellect. The value isn't in finding concrete answers that resolve all doubts, but in the profound, often challenging, transformation of the person asking the questions. It's about becoming more discerning, more imaginative, more autonomous. It's about realizing that the journey of understanding is continuous and that freedom, both mental and societal, is an ongoing project fueled by curiosity and courage. To engage with philosophy is to commit to a life lived deliberately, critically, and with an ever-expanding horizon of possibility. We've explored the formidable ideas of the Communist Manifesto from historical materialism to class struggle. But how do we translate these concepts and the very act of philosophical inquiry into daily practice? This chapter offers a 7-day philosophy action plan. It's not about memorizing theories, but training your mind to see the world with new eyes, to peel back layers of appearance and challenge assumptions. Consider it a mental workout, sharpening your intellect to become a more discerning observer. For day 1 and 2, practice the table problem. Question the appearance versus reality of everyday objects. Think of a table, it appears solid, but is it truly? Pick 3 ordinary objects: your phone, a coffee mug, or a chair. For each, spend a few minutes asking, what do my senses tell me? What might its deeper, underlying reality be beyond immediate perception? This encourages looking past the surface to appreciate hidden complexity. On day 3 and 4, notice your assumptions. Identify one belief you hold based on induction and question its certainty. Inductive reasoning forms generalizations from observations like believing the sun will rise because it always has. Pinpoint one such belief. Hot water always comes from this tap, for example. Then ask, how certain am I it will happen? What evidence supports it? Could circumstances falsify it? This isn't doubt for doubt's sake, but recognizing knowledge limits and the probabilistic nature of convictions, fostering intellectual humility. For day 5 and 6, hunt for universals. Look for abstract concepts like kindness or order in your daily life. Universals are general ideas exemplified by many particulars. For example, specific acts show kindness, but the universal idea exists beyond them. Throughout your day, actively seek these concepts. Where does kindness appear? How is order maintained or disrupted? This helps you move beyond particulars to appreciate underlying structures and shared qualities, seeing threads that connect disparate experiences. On day 7, reflect on the value. Take 5 minutes to journal or quietly reflect on your experience. How has this week of questioning and observing changed your perspective? What new insights emerged? Did you see objects differently, question old assumptions, or notice universals where you hadn't before? Simply acknowledge the mental shifts. This reflection solidifies the learning, integrating philosophical thinking as a valuable ongoing tool. This 7-day plan is a beginning, a jumpstart for your philosophical muscles. The world is an endless source of inquiry. By engaging with these practices, you'll deepen your understanding and cultivate a more nuanced, critical mind, one prepared to grapple with profound ideas like those in the Communist Manifesto *. Keep questioning, observing, and reflecting. Philosophical discovery is a lifelong journey. Right then, as we draw our exploration of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels' the Communist Manifesto to a close, let's distill our journey into 3 core takeaways, principles that extend far beyond the specific arguments of the manifesto and can enrich your perspective on virtually any subject. These are the essential messages we hope you carry with you, ready to be remembered and shared. Our first core takeaway is simply this: question everything. The world, as Marx and Engels so incisively demonstrated, is rarely as simple, as static, or as fair as it might first appear on the surface. True understanding doesn't arrive by passively accepting immediate perceptions or inherited wisdom. Instead, it begins with a conscious, deliberate act of doubt, a willingness to probe beneath the surface, to challenge assumptions, and to uncover the hidden mechanisms at play. This isn't about cynicism, it's about seeking clarity through critical inquiry, a skill the manifesto exemplifies in its relentless analysis of society. Secondly, and flowing naturally from the first point, is to embrace uncertainty. We've seen that the profound questions, those concerning justice, power, economics, and human society itself, often resist easy, clear-cut answers. Marx and Engels presented a powerful critique and a proposed solution, but the very act of engaging with such grand ideas reveals their inherent complexity. There is immense freedom, and indeed, deep intellectual growth, in accepting that the most important questions in life, philosophy, and society don't always have neat, tidy resolutions. Rather than being paralyzed by ambiguity, Embrace it as the fertile ground where genuine understanding and nuanced thought can truly flourish. It's in this space of not knowing that we are compelled to continue learning. Finally, our third pivotal takeaway: thinking is an action. For Marx and Engels, the Communist Manifesto wasn't a mere academic treatise. It was a powerful, philosophical call to both understanding and transformation. This perspective reminds us that philosophy itself, and indeed any form of deep critical thinking, is anything but a passive pursuit confined to lecture halls or dusty books. Instead, it is a dynamic, practical tool to think deeply, to analyze critically, to engage rigorously with ideas. These are potent acts. They are tools for enriching your own mind, for understanding your place in the complex tapestry of the world, and for actively shaping your life with intention and insight. Don't just absorb information, actively process it, question it, and use it. These three principles: question everything, embrace uncertainty, and thinking is an action, aren't just summaries of our time with the manifesto. They are an invitation to a more engaged and critically aware way of living. Carry them forward, apply them to the world around you, and discover the power within your own inquiring mind. And so, our rigorous exploration of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, the Communist Manifesto, concludes for this session. We've meticulously peeled back the layers of its foundational arguments, navigated its historical currents, and critically examined its enduring, often controversial legacy. But remember, this platform, this journey we undertake together, is far more than a passive broadcast of information. It is, by its very design, an invitation, a call to you, the engaged thinker, to step beyond mere viewership and become an active participant in the grand dialogue of ideas. True understanding, we firmly believe, isn't simply absorbed, it's forged through spirited discussion, critical reflection, and the courage to challenge established norms. Now, as you sit with the potent concepts and revolutionary insights we've uncovered today, I want to pose a deeply personal, yet universally relevant question, one that I hope will ignite further introspection long after this video fades. Reflect on your own worldview, your own experiences. What is one fundamental assumption you've perhaps taken for granted, a belief about society, power, economics, or even human nature that you can now, after engaging with the perspectives presented in the manifesto, begin to question, dissect, or even overturn? This isn't about agreeing or disagreeing with Marx, but about exercising the muscle of critical inquiry. Please share your assumption and your initial thoughts on why you're now questioning it in the comments section below. Your contributions are invaluable. They not only deepen your own intellectual journey, but also cultivate a vibrant, thoughtful community right here, enriching the collective understanding for all of us. If this deep dive has genuinely enlarged your thoughts, if it has broadened your horizons, offered a fresh lens through which to view the world, or indeed sparked new and profound questions within your mind, then please consider giving this video a thoughtful like. Your engagement signals to us what content truly resonates and empowers us to continue crafting these detailed explorations. And if you're eager to continue these profound journeys into big ideas, if you wish to remain at the forefront of critical thought and philosophical inquiry alongside us, then I wholeheartedly encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that notification bell, ensuring you're alerted every time we embark on our next intellectual adventure, delving into another seminal text or challenging concept. Do you recall our mention of the 7-day plan? That structured approach designed to help you integrate these complex ideas more deeply into your thinking? I truly encourage you to give it a try. Dedicate just a week to revisiting sections of the manifesto, perhaps discussing its tenets with friends or colleagues, or even journaling about your evolving reactions and insights. This isn't just about reading, it's about living with the ideas for a while. Then, when our next video is released, come back to the comments section of that future video and share your experience with the 7-day plan. Tell us how it impacted your understanding, what new connections you made, or what unexpected thoughts emerged. Your real-world application of these concepts is precisely the kind of active learning we champion. Finally, for those of you whose intellectual appetites have been whetted, who are now poised to delve even further into the very machinery of philosophical reasoning and critical analysis, I cannot recommend highly enough Bertrand Russell's seminal work, The Problems of Philosophy. It is an exceptionally lucid and accessible, yet profoundly insightful introduction to the enduring fundamental questions that have preoccupied humanity for millennia. Reading it for yourselves will provide an invaluable framework for understanding how to approach complex ideas, sharpen your own analytical skills, and develop a robust critical toolkit. It serves as an excellent companion to the kind of rigorous thought provoked by the manifesto, guiding you through the landscape of philosophy with clarity and precision. This conversation, remember, is an ongoing current, not a static destination. It doesn't conclude with the final words of this narration. Instead, it reignites and expands anew with each curious mind, each thoughtful comment, and each committed subscriber. Thank you profoundly for joining us on this significant intellectual expedition. Until our next encounter, I urge you to keep questioning, keep learning, and, above all, keep actively engaging with the boundless, transformative world of ideas.